This was a bad idea from sentence 1. The sentence was, I will assemble this flat-pack wardrobe myself. Now, I am not a carpenter. I am not even particularly good with My primary building skill involves stacking pizza boxers until they form a structurally unsound but emotionally supportive tower. Yet there I was, staring at a box that weighed more than my car. Armed with nothing but a complimentary Allen key the size of my pinky nail and an instruction manual written in what I can only assume was ancient Sumerian. The manual, a masterpiece of minimalist art, featured a series of diagrams with a cheerful, gender-neutral stick figure who seemed to be having the time of their life. This stick figure, let us call him Smug Kevin, effortlessly slotted pieces together, his face a constant, infuriatingly simple smile. My reality, however, was less serene. The box exploded open, not with the gentle whisper of cardboard parting, but like a confetti cannon filled with sawdust, screws, and 8 identical-looking wooden planks that the manual insisted were all different. I spent the first hour just trying to identify Part A according to Smug Kevin. Part A was a large, rectangular piece of wood. I had 8 large, rectangular pieces of wood. They all looked the same. I held them up to the light. I smelled them. I even licked one, just in case Part A had a distinct flavor profile of despair and compressed particle board. It did not. They all did. This was when the first bead of sweat, a tiny harbinger of the deluge to come, trickled down my forehead. Deciding to embrace chaos, I grabbed a random plank and declared it to be Part A. This act of rebellion against the IKEA industrial complex felt empowering for about 30 seconds. Then I had to find Part B. Part B, according to the cryptic pictograms, was supposed to attach to Part A, using 4 of the tiny silver screws. I had 3 bags of screws. 1 bag of tiny silver screws, 1 bag of slightly less tiny black screws, and 1 bag of mysterious, long, golden screws that were not mentioned anywhere in the manual. Naturally, I chose the tiny silver ones. As I attempted to screw Part B into my self-proclaimed Part A, I discovered a fundamental law of physics. The pre-drilled holes are not actually holes. They are merely suggestions, gentle dimples in the wood mocking your ambition. Pushing with all my might, the Allen key slipped, gouging a deep, angry scar into the pristine white laminate. The wardrobe was not even built yet, and it already looked like it had survived a minor war. I looked at the manual. Smug Kevin was on step 2, juggling parts with a jaunter-than-ever grin. I hated him. I hated him with the passion of 1,000 suns. My neighbor, Brenda, from number 32, chose this exact moment to peer over the garden fence, building some furniture. Are we? She chirped, her voice dripping with the kind of saccharine sweetness that could give you a cavity. Matrevor built our entire kitchen. He is so handy. I did not need this, Brenda. I really did not. I smiled a smile so tight it hurt my face and replied, yes, just a bit of light weekend DIY. I was lying. This was not light. This was a descent into a special kind of hell, one paved with confusing diagrams and superfluous golden screws. Yahuwah Threi had managed to construct something that vaguely resembled a lopsided, avant-garde bookshelf. 2 sides were on, but they were bowed outwards, like a cowboy who had spent too long on a horse. I had used the wrong screws. The slightly less tiny black screws, it turned out, were for the main frame. The tiny silver ones were for the drawer runners. I did not know this because the diagram for the screws was just a drawing of a screw next to another, slightly different drawing of a screw. There were no words, no labels. Just minimalist art and the silent judgment of Smug Kevin. Deconstruction was even less fun than construction. The black screws, now firmly embedded, refused to budge. The cheap metal of the Allen key began to strip, rounding off until it was as useful as a chocolate teapot. I resorted to using pliers, a decision that turned the screw heads into mangled, metallic disasters and left even more scratches on the wood. The wardrobe now looked like it had not just been in a war, but had lost badly. Sweat was no longer trickling. It was flowing. My t-shirt was soaked. My hands were covered in blisters, and I had sawdust in places sawdust should never be. I was on the verge of giving up, of dragging the entire mess into the garden and performing a ritual sacrifice to the gods of pre-assembled furniture. But then, I saw him. Smug Kevin. On page 5. He was installing the doors now, his smile wider than ever. A little speech bubble with a thumbs up floating next to his head. The audacity. The sheer, unmitigated goal. Fled be pure, unadulterated rage. I went back to work. I found the correct holes. I used the correct screws. I attached the backboard, a flimsy piece of cardboard that you secure with what feels like 100 tiny nails. My aim, compromised by fury and fatigue, was not great. For every nail that went into the frame, two went into my thumb. I am fairly certain my thumb is now more metal than bone, but slowly, painstakingly, a wardrobe-shaped object began to emerge from the chaos. 6 hours in, it was standing. It was wobbly. It was scarred, and one of the doors was hanging at a slightly jaunty angle. But it was standing primera de Donna Italiano. I had defeated smug Kevin. I had wrestled with the beast and emerged. If not victorious, then at least alive. All that was left was to install the drawers. Simple. Just pop them onto the runners I had so carefully installed an hour to use in the tiny silver screws. Except, I had installed the runners upside down. Both of them. The drawers did not slide in. They fell in, then immediately fell out onto my feet. I stared at the fallen drawer. I stared at the lopsided wardrobe. I stared at the instruction manual, now lying in a puddle of my own sweat on the floor. Smug Kevin's face was obscured by a dirt smudge, but I knew. I just knew. He was still smiling. That is when I remembered the mysterious golden screws. I picked one up. It was long, thick, and substantial. I looked at the wardrobe door that would not close properly. Primera, while quedober. And with a sense of profound zen-like calm, I used the golden screw to permanently affix the door to the frame. It will never open again. But it is flush, it is perfect. It is a monument to my failure. The other door remains slightly ajar, a constant reminder of my hubris. The drawers are not in the wardrobe. They are stacked next to it, holding socks. The wardrobe itself does not hold clothes. It cannot. It holds my shame, and a single Alan Keith that I have superglued. To the top is a trophy. It was a bad idea from sentence 1. You can know it. 10 and I know it now. I should have just kept the pizza box tower. At least, it held things. If you enjoyed this catastrophic series of poor life choices, be a pal and hit that like button. Share it with someone who also makes questionable decisions, and subscribe for more cautionary tales. Do it now. I am waiting.